Coming over the rise, John spots a rival trucker. He's been told to pull over, but continues down the road.
This is either going to end in tears or he's going to end up with a massive yellow pinstripe down the side of his truck. There's not much going to be in it. It's going to be bloody close.
Today's mission is to haul this giant catamaran just 1.5 kilometres. 10 metres wide and 4 stories high, this catamaran is a 40-tonne nightmare. The plan is to build a cradle using concrete blocks and steel girders. The giant ferry slots on top for the trip to a dock. It's not a long move, but it'll be a challenge for the mega truckers.
I'm not real keen on the concrete block idea, but that's what the customers provided, so we'll run with that. Right, down. I need these blocks perfect, otherwise the beams won't line up.
John and his backroom team usually produce loading plans, but these drawings, blocks and beams are from the client.
The blocks were just normal concrete. We don't know whether they're reinforced. And the minute you get something that cracks under load, well, it's a big job to change that.
What's wrong, Lonnie?
We're just having a quick little measurement.
The alarm bells are starting to go off saying that it's not as per the drawing. Like, someone's asking you to do something, giving you the tools and saying, here's the pieces of the puzzle, put them together, and there's pieces missing. It just doesn't add up.
Driver Dave discovers the beams are too short.
What was submitted on the plan and then what we actually measured to move this thing was just two totally different scenarios.
Overhang. On the drawing, this is what I mean, mate. Oh, there's no overhang.
Have you got longer beams? No?
We loaded it as per the customer's specifications, their blocks, their beams. Dave and I both had concerns.
The drawing shows the beam to have overhang past the trailer. Once again, you can see that it's a metre short of the trailer.
Well, that's not even touching on that block anyway.
So the blocks are in the right place, it's the beams are incorrect.
Something that they've measured isn't quite right now.
If the beams aren't long enough, the 40-tonne catamaran could topple off the trailer. Despite his concerns, Dave decides to push on.
Dave did it as per the customer's specifications. I personally wouldn't have kept going.
In charge is driver Dave. He was so worried about safety, he called boss John for help.
He rang me very, very concerned about the structural integrity of the beams and the blocks. His words were he wouldn't put his carport up with the beams they supplied, so why would I put a $10 million boat on them? It's a good job I came down here today because we've got some serious problems that we need to address straight away. I cannot believe that they're using like dead set 50-cent beams. I'd sooner see our beams up the top there than these shit ones.
Well, how quick can we get them down here?
I know there's one in the driveway there.
Yeah, there's, and the other 3 must be up the backyard.
I think Brad put that in the way strategically so he's got some challenge to back in the yard.
Correct.
At least with our beams, we've got chaining points on them, and you can put a dog underneath them and, like, dog down this way, dog down that way.
They're 300, aren't they?
310.
310.
The chances are that beams could have failed. If a beam failed, that boat's coming off here quicker than Jack Flash. If it could tear down power lines or power poles, and that damage can be into the millions.
The catamaran was to be moved by a rival company. But when they realised they couldn't do the job, they turned to John.
When shit turns bad, you know, for other transport companies or other customers, HHA and I suppose myself personally has been the go-to guy. People know when they ring us, the job will get done.
John's had enough of standing around. With 2 more big-dollar catamaran moves in the offing, he strikes.
I'll go show this bloke the proper way.
The client just happened to be walking past. As John seen the client come there, he just beelined towards him and he was about to tell him how good we are and what we got to offer for him.
John, I'm Angus.
Oh, yeah. John Kelly, here you go. This is how we move a boat properly. This is the last one we did for the shipyard here. So we got these big heavy lift stands and they're like rated at 250 tonne each. And we can keep stacking these. That's the idea of them because they're boltable. So if we could find out what potentially your main load bearing points are.
Yeah, and we did start off with this in mind as well.
Side
Yeah.
here as well.
John was out for the kill. He had the more muscle, he had the bigger legs, and he was just going in and he was just going to run over at any cost.
The sweet talking pays off. The client agrees to use John's steel beams.
Worried A-team's here now.
With all eyes now on the mega truckers, it's time to deliver.
We're going to lose a couple of hours resetting up and around this morning, but you don't want it falling off the trail halfway out the driveway.
There's a lot of jealousy, you know, John having what he's got and where he is, and I think people would love to see him up or go down in a ball of flames.
There was 1 million people there, and the thought that just goes through your head is just can't go wrong.
To line all that up and get that right is absolutely critical.
When you're back underneath it, you only got about 50 mil either side of the steel beam, so it's quite easy to punch a hole in the bottom of the boat. Glenn and I are on the ground with radios, and it's our call to say go, stop, a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right.
If we did touch it, that we could have sent a beam or a block arse overhead off the trailer.
Got plenty of room over there, Glenn?
After 3 attempts, Dave nails it. The next challenge is to stop the catamaran touching power lines.
If that happens, it'll weld that trailer to the boat, blow every tyre on the trailer, and potentially electrocute Dave. As they say, one flash and you're ash.
It's 5 a.m. on the catamaran move, and the mega truckers have a problem. Power lines block the exit.
I was under the assumption, which we discussed with the Energex workers, that these wires were going to be dropped down. And these guys are telling us, no, we'll be able to lift them. I don't believe they will. Dealing with 11 kVA wires that we are, it's extremely dangerous. The risk of death is great.
Who's looking at maintaining clearance up there?
Alec.
You trust him?
What they're going to do is if there's any problem, Brad will be on this side, he'll call out, stop, stop.
Yeah.
And we'll do the same.
Right. Let's do it. How are we going to go on the Energex truck there? We're going to have enough clearance?
The wires can't go higher, and John is running out of options.
A simple man would lower his trailer and move straight out, but the keel of the boat is too close to the pavement, so we can't lower the trailer. So we're in a rock and a hard place where we've got minuscule clearance.
We were down to literally 5 to 10 millimetres of clearance between the vessel and the road.
We're going for tail swing drivers like that.
If you don't lower it, you'll snag the power lines. If you let the trailer down too far, well, the boat will actually hit the road and stop, and the truck and the trailer won't.
Stop, Dave, please stop. I can see those power lines up there moving up top. Is someone up there watching the power lines? Are they energised still?
They're hot.
They're hot?
They are.
We need to maintain 0.7 of a metre clearance off the catamaran and the power lines. If we encroach on that distance, there's a very, very high chance that 22,000 volts of electricity will arc itself on the actual catamaran. If that happens, it'll weld that trailer to the boat, blow every tyre on the trailer, and potentially electrocute Dave.
To see those power lines move, mate, when you're under them, you think you've jagged something.
It's more than it looks. When I was up there, if it was far away, I reckon we probably still got the air with some clearance there.
It looked a bit narrow from where we were standing, but it's a bit of an optical illusion. They eyeballed it and reckoned they measured it, and they said we had 800.
Yeah, I'm good here. Yeah, all the power lines all good now, so we've lowered it down. They've gotten a bit of extra height. Just square up, Dave, please. Yeah, I reckon that's a perfect setup for this camber. It's riding good.
Speed that we're doing, that 1.5 kilometres that we only had to move that bait, it seems like about 150 kilometres.
Down on the left-hand side a little bit, just slowly.
Arrived on the docks unscratched and unscathed, and it's a really good feeling. I love it.
Over the past 2 months, Dave's been in charge of moving a mammoth 2,000-tonne tunnel boring machine. It's a $2 million job, with another in the offing. The tunnel boring machine is so big, the mega truckers must haul it in 140 moves. Tonight, it's one of the final pieces, the fish belly gantry. At only 40 tonnes, weight isn't the problem. Width and height can be a nightmare for mega truckers, and this monster measures a giant 8.7 metres wide, 6 metres high and 20 metres long. Step 1 is the reverse.
your guys that are down on the ground, you've got 110% confidence in them that they're not going to back you in one of the cans, one of its staunchings that it's sitting on.
As a pilot driver, we're the eyes and ears for the drivers, only for the simple fact that they can't see anything behind them in the tight places. You only got to come over that much and it'll be in the centre. Yeah, that one.
To hit that gantry, potential for it to fall over, you know, I don't think we get another look in, mate, if something like that happened. If we get this wrong, all hell's going to break loose. Gary's a team player. He understands the consequences if something does go wrong. Last thing I want is that little bucket to get squashed or injured, that's for sure. Bit of a juggling act to get it in there, but it's in there, so... Make sure the shit's tight, mate. Always have a few extra lashings holding the load back. Or if you ever need to hit the f***ing brakes for a big hurry, mate, it's not going to come eat you up the front, so...
It's a $2 million contract with another in the offing, if tonight goes without a hitch. Project leader Dave's feeling the pressure.
To secure that second machine, there's good earnings there for everyone, mate. If there's a f***up, well, there's only one person to blame, mate, and that's myself.
Adding to the pressure, boss John has turned up unannounced.
At the end of the day, he's the boss, so he's quite entitled to be there.
I do notice that it puts everybody else on edge when he does come down. Is he going to be a grumpy ass or is he going to be pretty mellow?
It's nothing personal against the boys when I go out and supervise a job and make sure they're doing the right thing, but they're not signing the checks if something goes bad.
On the ground, John will be an extra pair of eyes for driver Dave. But he'll have to be on his A game.
Yeah, the rear one, sleeper.
Oh, we are now.
We've chosen the time between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. to do this move, which is a bit nerve-wracking when it hasn't been done before and the car goes so wide.
The team has 6 hours to travel 68 kilometres. John's paid police to escort them along the motorway.
Copper's keen.
If they can get on the motorway.
How you going, mate?
Yeah, what's up?
You got about 3 minutes to clear all the shit off the road.
We can't, we're paving.
Mate, we've got 9 metres coming through. We've had permits in for 2 months.
Well, we can't because we've got a bloody asphalt in here at the moment.
And the reason we put our permit applications in 30 days before we move is so that these morons do not set up roadworks on the night we want to move a 9 metre wide load. I bet you $5,000 you'll be able to get off the road once we turn up.
Can't do anything about it at the moment.
Dave, come down here, block the whole show up, and we're going through.
John and driver Dave have just 4 hours to haul this load 63 kilometres.
I pretty much said that you've got 2 choices. Choice 1 is we just lock the truck up, park the truck up and come back tomorrow night and leave it in the middle of the Centenary Highway, and we'll let you deal with the Premier and the Prime Minister tomorrow. Or get your shit out of the way and let us through, and we'll be a figment of your imagination in 5 seconds.
The timing has been great tonight because at the moment we're halfway between layers, so I can get you through. You know, like I'll work with you. I'm not here to f*** you around.
And lucky he went for option B. Good man.
Thanks, mate.
See ya. So much for can't come through.
John's probably doing all right as a rear pilot. He'd like to be up here in the chair tonight, but he can stay down there in the big Silverado and call it from down there.
To get this 8.7 metre wide gantry onto the motorway, they must negotiate this 7 metre wide ramp.
Left-hand side's looking good. Got about probably a metre on that pole. Hey, what we're going to do is actually going to hang the load out over the bridge railing by about 2 metres to get away from all these lights here on the passenger side.
Driver Dave needs all the eyes and ears on offer.
Just when you come in these islands here, Dave, you've got that first street light there in the medium strip, so just hang it out to your driver's side as much as you can.
500 on that lamppost, you can come this way a little.
This is going to be about your tightest spot here with this pole here, Dave.
Coming.
The last thing that we want is this truck pulling out the barrier and me getting a bill from Main Roads for $30,000.
It looks like the boss has come in handy after all.
About a metre off the guardrail there on the left. You'll just have to watch it when you get in the motorway for the signs. Probably got about 300 to spare this side. Righto, clear the sign my side. That line here, Dave, I'm on the ground walking, mate, so you've got about probably 300 mil on the left-hand side.
It's taken almost 3 hours, but finally they hit the motorway.
Having John on gives you that bit more of assurance. I can see what's going on up the front, but yeah, down the back, mate, I've got no idea what's going on down there. So having John's probably a good thing.
Well, Dave's kept himself pretty cool and collected. He hasn't gotten out of the truck tonight and threatened anyone with their life. So far, we haven't maimed anyone and haven't got any complaints yet, so we're doing all right.
In Brisbane, Dave, Gary and John reach their destination, a tunnel construction site in the city's west. While they've beaten the curfew, there's another hurdle.
It's just typical of any job site you go to, mate. It's crazy, like, no one thinks how you're going to get this sort of equipment in and out of there. You're talking literally inches.
Just keep it nice and high up on your left-hand side, mate, please.
Driving, you're 110% switched on. And if you're not, jam your fingers in the door, mate. Yeah. You don't breathe a sigh of relief until it's out of our hands.
Pretty tight.
Finally, they make it. But this job's still not over.
Normally, they have the crane there waiting for us to unload, and unfortunately, no one's told them about us coming in tonight.
They've had week notice that this move was coming in, and no crane. What a bonus.
We've basically got to sit there and wait till they got some cranes available and some men available to unload us.
On the fish belly gantry move, it's 4 a.m. and there's still no sign of the crane drivers.
It's a very, very hard job running this business. Like, it's stressful, it's tiring, it's just, you know, some days you just think, what am I doing?
Finally, they arrive, and this monster load can be delivered safe and sound.
I definitely think it was the right thing to go in and supervise Dave and give him a hand. I think it gave Dave a lot more confidence having me on the ground. It's Dave and myself done a lot of big moves together, and we can solve the impossible when we put our minds to it. Oh, good job.
Cool, thank you. It was a good help instead of a hindrance, mate, yeah. Even got a handshake at the end of the night, which is unusual.
In Brisbane, driver Chris finally arrives to find a client with no time for small talk.
Yeah, mate, you want to grab this one first.
For his first job back with HHA, Chris must haul a switchroom across town. 12 metres long and 45 tonnes, it's filled with $1 million worth of electricals.
It'll be about 900, yeah. So it's, yeah.
This isn't just a test for Chris. The first-time customer is testing HHA's services.
As any prudent business does, we've asked John and his boys to come in and have these as a test case, see how they go, and hopefully we'll do some more business with them.
Yeah, if I stuff this job up today, I guess consequences are I'm going to be looking for a new one.
Just grab those axle.
I can see myself maybe an accident happening. I never want that on my head. I guess the biggest challenge we've got today is the trailer. I mean, we've got to open up to about 3.4 metres wide, and I think our room that we've got to back underneath the switch room is about 3.6 and a half.
Jump on the other end of this tape.
So we've got about 100 mil aside, you know, not even that, and they've only got bricks holding this switch room up.
3.5.
If we bump into one of those bricks, it's a good chance it's going to knock that switch room straight on the ground. There's going to be a few phone calls involved, I can imagine that.
Helping Chris is rookie Kieran.
Alrighty. Just yell stop before we hit something.
Kieran, I mean, he's a good hand, but he's only just started with this. He hasn't got a lot of experience as well. Well, I'm just taking it nice and steady, trying to go as slow as possible. It's very daunting trying to listen. I'm looking as much as I can in the mirrors, but I can't see all of it. Hopefully nothing goes wrong.
Stuff it up on this load, HHA loses a client and Chris his job.
As a driver, I'm waiting to hear that stop. So, I mean, as soon as we touch something, mate, we stop straight away.
Chris has another crack. This time, it's in, with a hair's width to spare. But there's another problem.
After lots of negotiating and lots of ginning around, we finally got this trailer under and we've realised that we need to extend the trailer another hole.
All right, I'll have to pull this trailer right out. All the way.
As Chris drives the trailer back out, the $1 million Switchroom gets a twitch.
Pillars on the way through there.
Huh?
Mate, the last thing you want is the client to have any involvement in you hitting their equipment in any reason whatsoever.
Where we hit?
Only nicked it, see the cruise mark?
Oh, yeah.
You can do 1,000,001 good deliveries, but you'll be remembered for the one that you hit and stuffed up.
He prepares for a second go at the reverse.
All right, so we want the trailer to the driver's side?
Yes, please, mate, yep.
Start bringing the head down. Just keep an eye on this front left-hand bollard on the passenger side.
He makes it. And maybe wins some new business for the company.
Shit, it's a big one. It's huge. Yeah, it's a freaking fair-sided machine, actually.
At 24, Ryan is the youngest mega trucker in Australia. But that didn't stop John giving him a job that would test a veteran. This 80-tonne excavator must be shifted almost the entire length of Australia, 3,800 kilometres, from the port of Melbourne to a mine near Darwin. Ryan's mission is to get it there in one piece, ready for work in just 8 days. Making it even harder, Ryan will be the only mega trucker for the entire epic journey.
You've got to be a jack of all trades with this job. You've got to be able to operate the machine, operate the float, be a trailerman.
Got to be one of the biggest moves he's done in distance-wise. He's doing it unsupervised. It's a tyranny of distance out there. You break down in the middle of nowhere, you'll be dead within 48 hours.
Yeah. First challenge is to get this 5.5 metre high excavator under the city's low-hanging web of tram lines.
Yeah, 3 o'clock in the morning. If you do come across a low wire or a low bridge, you have got time to resolve the problem rather than block up half of Melbourne. It's like a high-stakes game of limbo under those train lines. If you arc them out, you arc all Melbourne out and you're out of the game. Moving nice and gently. Thanks, mate. Have a good night, eh? I feel totally relieved once I was through Melbourne tram line.
On his solo mission, hauling an excavator almost 4,000 kilometres to Darwin, young gun Ryan has hit South Australia.
This trip is a big adventure. We're going across 2 states and a territory. Yeah, it is a big trip to embark on. I've been into trucks for as long as I can remember. I was never really much for a kid for school. I just thought, you know, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. I'll fucking quit school, I'll go and do what I love. Mum was in the truck with Dad when they had me. It wasn't even 3 months and I was in a truck, I think. Get me away from him. My old man still drives up and down the high every day. We might even see the old man up in Darwin, actually.
Ryan loves mega trucking, but his recent marriage has made him reassess his priorities.
Before I was with my wife, I was working 7 days a week sort of thing, you know, in trucks, and I was loving it. I wanted more. But as you get fond of your loved ones and that, you know, you don't want to be at work as much. You still love it, but you want to spend time with them. We bought our first house together and I was away for that. When we got married, we planned the whole wedding when I was away. It's when you are supposed to be home, but never can be.
But the young mega trucker has a job to do. And the buck stops with him.
There's a little bit of pressure onto this run, eh? Because if something goes wrong, well, it's all on my head, you know. I've authorised the load to be good to go. I've changed the load. I've loaded the load. I've said it's this length. I've said it's this height. At the end of the day, there's no other finger to point to but me. You know, I'm in charge of this whole operation.
Pressure aside, Ryan's run looks like a corker.
The best part of this job, I pay to sightsee. Open road, just do my own thing, just cruise along, nice and easy.
By day 5, he's only 1,500 kilometres from Darwin, with 3 days to spare.
It's 10:30 in the morning and I see the weighbridge in front of me and I feel that the odds are against me.
Weighbridges ensure truckers haul their loads within strict guidelines. Fail, and Ryan could be fined, or worse, grounded for days, costing boss John tens of thousands of dollars.
Just on the weighbridge at Alice, still a long way to Darwin yet. When you got to fall into the weighbridges, it's part and parcel. You got to do what you got to do it. Yeah, just hope everything's all good.
I'm more concerned about just the axle weights at the moment.
So I try and lose 6 tonne.
Yep.
I'll make the phone call, mate, see what we come up with. Thank you. Yeah, we didn't go too well here.
Stranded in the middle of the country, Ryan calls HHA headquarters to deliver the bad news.
The best thing you try and do is try and resolve it yourself. And they wouldn't sort of come to the party, then you sort of turn to John and say, well, this is what's happened. And today's well and truly stuffed.
The HHA team have organised help. Someone who can reduce his load by 6 tonne.
Isn't too far away, I'm hoping. There he is, it is a fitter.
We were thrown into damage control. The bridge wouldn't let us pass unless we rectified the weight. And the only way to rectify the weight is lose weight. And the only way to lose weight is to take equipment off the machine. We did some calculations and decided the counterweight was the quickest and easiest way to remove.
Take up, mate. Oh, then better.
All that comes at a premium. And the cost for crane hire, for labour to pull it off, and then for the actual transport of the separate piece. That second truck travels with just a counterweight on it.
And the reason why Ryan's load was over? A typo on the permit.
With the level of compliance in this business, something as simple as a typo on a permit can cost you days on the side of the road. All in all, that cost there was just over $15,000. So that's basically hit me clean in the arse.
With the counterweight removed, Ryan wastes no time reloading the digger.
I think worked out it was about 24 to 30 hours, I was back on the road again. Lucky to us that we had resources and we could get it done. Just goes to show anywhere in Australia we can always get something done.
On the excavator move, Ryan finally makes Darwin.
Yeah, I feel very relieved, you know, you get up there and the job's been done with a few dilemmas that we've had, which could have been worse.
Ryan would have had a lot of weight on his shoulders. Even though we've had a setback, we still made our deadline. Customer's still happy, so that's a good job.
It's Tuesday morning, and John gets a call from an old mate.
You got a bit of a mission for us?
John's mission is to move one of the largest bulldozers in the world, the 930 horsepower Caterpillar D11T. It weighs in at a monstrous 115 tonnes, the equivalent of 55 utes. It's so heavy, most truckers haul it in 4 parts. But John will shift this dozer fully dressed, so it can go straight to work at a coal mine. Hauling machines like these is worth big bucks.
I want to try and capitalise on as much money as we can extract out of that mining industry. If you don't know what you're doing, you know, moving a machine of this size could be a disaster. You know, you've got the width to deal with. We're nearly 7 metres wide, we're nearly 5.5 metres high, and we're just under 200 tonne.
The client wants his $2 million dozer hard at work in less than 2 days. The pressure's on John to deliver.
We put it on, it goes to site, it can walk off the back of the trailer, and it can be pushing dirt in 2 hours. Mate, she's a good-looking bit of gear.
No, they're nice, aren't they?
For every hour we're late, it's effectively costing Terry $1,000 an hour. Good to see you.
Safe trip.
I'll send you a postcard.
Do that.
The whole aim of the game here is to get out of town before the major traffic hits.
But he can't leave until the wide load curfew lifts at 3 a.m. Plus, his destination of Blackwater has a curfew from 5:30 p.m. John has just 14 hours to drive 820 kilometres, including fuel and rest stops.
Got all your paperwork, everything covered? Yeah, I'll show you. Grab the permit, the police permit. Yeah. Main road, load mass declaration. At the end of the day, you only get one chance of this, so we make sure all our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed. Perfect. All right, thanks, guys.
Might be a bit of fog out on the road there too. There's a bit out of Westbrook when I come in there.
Oh, was there? Yeah.
Fog and 200 tonnes of dozer on the move can be a fatal mix. If it gets heavier, this job could grind to a halt, a delay John can't afford.
It's absolutely line ball. I'm waiting for the police officer to come up and say, listen, John, time to park up in the interest of safety, because this fog is like pea soup. It's thick as buggery.
Daybreak. John's 200 kilometres north of Toowoomba, and he's in luck.
Fortunately, just on the other side of John Dairy, and the fog sort of cleared. It's been an absolute perfect day. We've got quite a large convoy travelling here with this particular load. Only about 1 kilometre to 2 kilometres out in front, we have the first pilot vehicle. That's the warn oncoming traffic. That's followed by basically the police escort. So any vehicles that the pilot vehicle out in front doesn't get off the road, the police escort effectively runs what we call suicide, and he shoves everyone off the road to make sure that I've got a clear passage when I come through with the massive load. Behind me, I've got a pilot vehicle as well, and he marshals all the traffic around me from a standpoint from the rear.
To make the mine before the 5:30 curfew, John can't afford delays. But that's not easy, hauling a dozer with a 7-metre blade down a road 6 metres wide.
And the whole idea of running an oversized convoy like this is pre-warning to the traffic, especially the heavy vehicles. So when we come across another truck or a bus, it's important to give them enough time to pull up to allow us to go past safely. And that's why we give oncoming traffic more than 2 kilometres lead time to find a spot. If I pulled up and went off the camber of the road, there's a chance there that the actual shoulder of the road could collapse, and if the shoulder of the road collapsed, effectively that whole truck would go down the side of the embankment. So that's just kiss your ass goodbye, Merry Christmas, end of the line.
Coming over the rise, John spots a rival trucker. He's been told to pull over, but continues down the road.
This is either going to end in tears or he's going to end up with a massive yellow pinstripe down the side of his truck. There's not much going to be in it. It's going to be bloody close. Dickhead. But then the cheeky bastard gets on the microphone and wants to give me a spray.
Yeah, make sure you're off the road, though, or you ain't blowing down for no.
Pull your head in, mate.
What are you on about?
I was supposed to pull up for you with a big 3V8 on tonight. I was lucky I was going the other way, at 80 kilometres an hour, because had there been a chance to pull up, it would have been on like Donkey Kong. The most challenging part of this journey for me is probably the Duringa range. Catches a lot of people out. You sort of get used to the corners and used to how steep it is. But in the last about 75 to 80 metres, it just goes bang, straight up. It's crucial that you get every gear change right. One slip of the wrong revs or one position of your gear stick in the wrong position, you can tear a gearbox clean out of this truck, no dramas at all. Got an 18-speed transmission that effectively has to roll as smooth can be. If you dropped a gearbox, there's 50 grand laying out on the ground and effectively 2 or 3 or 4 days off the road. So you've got an unhappy client, $50,000 repair bill, and you can't get back to your job in 3 or 4 days. So, the cost of that could be in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
While steep roads can prove a threat to big trucks can inflict their own damage.
One of the biggest factors a lot of people don't realise is actually bitumen. When a road gets really, really hot and that bitumen melts, and you've got a truck pulling 200-tonne gun up a hill, and those wheels are trying to drive, at the end of the day, all it takes is those wheels to get one bit of slip, and it'll spit that bitumen out in chunks the size of family pizzas. My aim now is just to keep this truck going at a constant pace. I just want to roll on nice and soft through this bitumen here. I've done everything I can. I've moved the tractor forward to put plenty of weight on the drive so we shouldn't get any slippage.
He's picked the right gear and the right speed. But the big hills haven't let him off scot-free.
We're running a little bit low on fuel. A little bit concerned about getting to our final destination this afternoon. I was a bit worried about the time, so I didn't fuel the whole truck up, only fueled one side up. $1,000 for nearly 10 minutes of refueling. I've got no idea why the fuel's $1.60 here. Our average fuel consumption's been about 720 metres per litre. Compare that to your Falcon or your Toyota Camry, you'd be horrified.
Next morning, John finally delivers the bulldozer to the Curragh mine site.
day. Everything went according to plan. There was nothing really to be worried about. The way the dozer rolled off that beaver tail was absolutely textbook, so it's happy days. We'll pack up, head home and take on the next challenge.
Every now and then, even mega trucks meet their match. This Komatsu low loader has 10 huge wheels and can carry over 400 tonnes. In minutes, it hauls the D11T to the coal mine. And in no time, it's on the job.